Hi everyone. So what are we going to study in today's session? Sucking animals are called sanguivorous animals. Definitely I should tell about this animal before I move on to the remaining points. And it has a capacity to change its color from gold color to purple bluish color. Hi everyone. Welcome back to session 7 of this very important chapter called Animal Kingdom. So in every class I keep telling that this is a very important and interesting chapter, right? So what did we learn in the last session? We learned about a very important phylum called phylum Platyhelminths and a phylum called Aschelminths. So what are we going to study in today's session? By seeing this animal itself, you can make a guess. So what is this animal? What is the name of this animal? This is nothing but earthworm. Who has not seen an earthworm? Particularly in this is a rainy season where you can come across this earthworm, right? And all of you know that earthworm is called farmer's friend also, and it is also called as a natural plower. So now let us study about this very important phylum called Annelida. This earthworm belongs to this very important phylum called Annelida, right? So what do you mean by Annelida? So the word Annelida was proposed by Lamarck or coined by Lamarck. So the word Annelida is coined by Lamarck, right? What do you mean by Annelida? Hope you remember in the last phylum, in the last session, we studied about Platyhelminths and Aschelminths. Why were they called as Platyhelminths? Because they were flat worms. The body was dorso-ventrally compressed. Whereas in case of Nemathyhelminths, we call them as what? We call them as round worms, as the body was not flattened but it was cylindrical. And why do we call these animals as Annelida? Right? So Annelida means presence of annuli rings. Ring-like structures called annuli. Hence the name annulus. And the animals belonging to this are called as what? Annelida. Hope you can see in this picture, you can see the ring-like structures like this. Body is covered by ring-like structures and these are called as what? Annuli. Annuli means what? Ring-like. Hence the name Annelida, right? So what are annelids? Annelids have a body covered over by ring-like structures called annuli, hence the name Annelida. Now let us study about this very important phylum called Annelida. What are the characteristic features of these annelids? Hope many of you might have come across leech and even earthworm. These are the two very common animals which we come across in our daily life. So you would have observed their features and their movement, etc. Right? Now let us study about in detail about their characteristic features. First and foremost, as I said, the animals have started evolving from simplicity to complexity, like from porifera to mammalia. See how the animals have started evolving, having a better body organization. So here you can see that these animals have organ system grade of body organization. See how the animals have started developing. So in the previous phyla they had only organ grade of body organization. So here from Annelida it started what? Organ system grade of body organization. Hope you remember the 4 levels of body organization. The 4 levels of cellular organization, that is cellular level, that is tissue level, organ system level. See here you can see in these animals they have organ system grade of body organization. So they have a better body development when compared to Platyhelminths, Aschelminths, poriferans, coelentrates and ctenophorans, because they have an organ system of grade of body. You know what is the advantage of having an organ system? So all the organs will be performing different functions, right? Now what is when you see the shape of the animal, I think if you see this earthworm, you can see the body is cylindrical. The body is cylindrical and tapering at both the ends. What do you mean by tapering? Pointed. Here you can see tapering at both the ends. So the animal, so here the body is cylindrical and tapering at both the ends. So both the ends will be what? Tapering. What do you mean by tapering? Pointed like this. So this is called tapering ends. So what is the shape of these animals? In platyhelminths they were flatworms, and in Nematyhelminths they were roundworms. But whereas in case of annelids, the body is cylindrical, tapering at both the ends. So what is the first very important characteristic feature of Annelida? They have organ system grade of body organization, body is cylindrical and tapering at both the ends. Very important thing is, from Annelida the segmented worms started. Right? What do you mean by segmented? You might have come across in platyhelminths. The body is divided into segments. For example, like in Taenia solium, or which is called tapeworm. But the segmentation hope you remember, segmentation also is one very important characteristic feature for classification of animals into segmented worms, unsegmented worms. So the segmentation what we saw in platyhelminths, that is in tapeworm, is called false segmentation or false metamerism, but here it is called true metamerism. That means each segment, each annuli, here you can see the body is divided into segments. Each segment is called metamere. Each segment is called metamere, and the process of formation of a metamere is called metamerism. It is called metamerism, or it is also called as segmentation. It is called as segmentation. So this is a very important characteristic feature of annelids. So the body is metamerically segmented. What do you mean by metamerically segmented? The organs found in one segment are repeated in each and every segments of the body. For example, like nephridia. Nephridia are the organs of excretion in case of annelids. So each segment of the body will have nephridia. Right? So if you dissect earthworm, you will get to know that each segment of the body on either side will have nephridia. Nephridia are the organs of excretion. So what do you mean by metameric segmentation? So metameric segmented, so body is metamerically segmented, that is the organs found in one segment are repeated in each and every segments of the body. This phenomenon of repetition of the serial rings is called as metamerism, and as I said, it can also be called as what? Segmentation. Hope you have understood some of the important characteristic features of annelids. Let me repeat once again. Annelida means what? Annuli. The body is divided into ring-like structures called annuli, hence the name Annelida. And the phylum Annelida was coined by whom? By Lamarck. And these are the first organisms to evolve as segmented worms, as they have body segmentation, true body segmentation, or what we otherwise call it as true metamerism. And these are the animals which have the organ system grade of body organization, and the body is cylindrical, tapering at both the ends, and as I said, body is metamerically segmented. What do you mean by metameric segmentation? That is, the organs found in one segment are repeated in the each and every segments of the body, and that phenomenon is called metameric segmentation. Hope you have understood the very important feature of phylum Annelida. Hope you have understood some of the very important characteristic features of phylum Annelida. Moving on to the next very important features. Hope you can see this animal. As soon as you see this animal, you get to know that this is nothing but what? Leech. Right? And hope you know about leech. Leech is a blood sucker. It is a blood sucker, or you can also call it as sanguivorous. sanguivorous animal. Blood sucking animals are called sanguivorous animal. And you can see the body is divided into rings here, hence annuli, annelida. And you can see it has suckers and it is a parasite. It is an ectoparasite. What do you mean by ectoparasite? Parasites which reside on outside the body of the host is called as ectoparasite. So it has suckers as organs of for sucking, for attachment, as organs of attachment. So it sucks it once it fixes to the body of the host. Until and unless it is completely satisfied with blood sucking, it will not leave the host body. And another very unique feature of this leech is what? It releases a chemical substance called hirudin, which is going to act as an anticoagulant. What do you mean by anticoagulant? As I said, leech is a sanguivorous animal which feeds on the blood. And there is one more called cattle leech also, right? So when it is sucking, so it sees that the blood is sucked continuously without any clot. So it will release a chemical substance called hirudin, which will not allow the host blood to clot, so that it can suck continuously the blood. So that is very, very important. And you might have come across, when we have a leech bite, even after removing the leech, you can see the blood oozing out. And sometimes we'll be afraid, right? Something is wrong with the blood clotting mechanism, we feel that, but it is not so, because still that hirudin, the chemical substance, will be still in our blood. So until and unless all that hirudin comes out of the blood will not clot. But that should not be mistaken for some defect in blood clotting, right? So you can't mistake them to be hemophilic, right? But as I said, this chemical substance called hirudin will not allow the blood to clot. So until and unless, even you might have removed the leech from the body, but still you can see the blood oozing out. Until and unless all the hirudin comes out of the host body, the blood will not clot. So here, and hence it is called, the scientific name of leech is called hirudinaria. It is called hirudinaria. Just like earthworm is a very, very soft animal and it is not dangerous to human being, right? And as I said, it is called farmer's friend. Why earthworm is called farmer's friend? Because it loosens the soil, and as I said, it is called as a natural plower, because plowing means what? Plower. Because it is going to loosen the soil and make the soil for good aeration. And even the worm excreta, which is called as worm cast, is a very good manure. Hence it enriches the soil fertility, and hence it is called as a farmer's friend. And I think you might have come across earthworm. It is highly flexible. The body is dermomuscular and it is highly flexible, and that is the reason it is adapted to burrowing mode of life. And you know the way how this leech moves, like somersault. In Kannadaದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಪಲ್ಟಿ ಹೊಡೆಯೋದು. So somersault. So one end of the sucker will come to one side on the floor and the other sucker will be on the other side. So this is how the leech moves from one place to another place, and usually it is a freshwater form, right? And like if you go to Madikeri, like Irupu Falls and all, this is a very common animal which you can come across there, right? So as I said, this is a sanguivorous animal. So when it bites a human body, so it will attach to the human body until and unless it is completely satisfied with the blood, it will not release from the host body. And that is the reason you might have come across in estate regions and in Madikeri, like Irupu Falls and all, they will have this turmeric or salt. So when they spray over it, then automatically the leech will just leave the host body. So this is about leech. Now let us come across what are the other very important characteristic features of the annelids. The successive bodies are separated externally by ring-like structure called annuli and internally by a septum. Septum means what? Partition. You can see one segment is separated from the other by what we call it as septum. So externally by annuli, internally by septum. And in case of annelids, the first segment is the oldest segment. And in case of annelids, the first segment will be the the first segment will be the oldest segment and the last one will be the youngest segment. Whereas in case of platyhelminths, the first segment is the youngest and the last segment is the oldest. Hence it is called false metamerism. Or here it is called true metamerism. There in case of platyhelminths it is called false metamerism. Why? The first one will be the oldest and the last one will be the youngest. And in case of platyhelminths, why you call it as false segmentation or false metamerism? Because the first one will be the youngest and the last segment will be the oldest. Hence in platyhelminths we call it as false metamerism. You don't see segmentation like what you see in Annelida. So this is some more points about this very important phylum called Annelida. Hope you have understood. The successive body segments are separated externally by ring-like structures called annuli and internally by septum. In case of annelids, the first segment is the oldest segment and the last segment is the youngest. So it is vice versa in case of platyhelminths. What is it? The first segment will be the youngest and the last segment will be the oldest. Hence it is called false metamerism. And this is a picture of leech, which is, and I think even leech is used even in Ayurvedic medicine, because sometimes you might have come across people having this gangrene, so bad blood. In order to suck that bad blood, they make use of this leech. Leech also has a significance in Ayurvedic medicine. They use this animal and they actually, so when it starts sucking the blood, all the bad blood, so to some extent the gangrene can be cured. And later on they put the leech into a bottle containing turmeric water, where it is going to spill out all the blood that has sucked. So this is having a very significant role in Ayurvedic medicine. But how far it is successful, I don't know. But still, this is having some use in the Ayurvedic medicine, because it is a blood sucker. So all the bad blood is sucked from the body of the patient, particularly who have this gangrene, right? So moving on to the other characteristic features. Hope you can see this beautiful picture. What is this animal? What is the name of this animal? This animal is nothing but called Nereis, or it is otherwise called Neanthis, or it is otherwise called clamworm. Definitely I should tell about this animal before I move on to the remaining points. What is this clamworm? This is a very, very dangerous worm, which is a marine form. What do you mean by marine form? That which is found in marine water, sea water. Those were the days where the fishermen used to take the wooden boats for fishing, right? That now we have all this aluminium sheet and very, very big boats and ships made out of metal. But those were in olden days, fishermen were using a wooden boat, and before they take their boats for fishing, so they make sure that the boat is free of this Nereis. You know why? Because it is having chitinous plates. You can see here, these are called as chitinous plates. That is made up of what? Chitinous. This is called parapodia. It is called parapodia. Podia means what? Legs. And obviously legs are used for what? Locomotion, for movement. But these parapodia is made up of what? Chitinous plates. And these chitinous plates has the capacity to eat all the wood and make holes. And obviously when a fisherman takes the wooden boat for fishing, and all the water will enter into the boat and the boat will sink. So those were the days where the fishermen were very, very afraid of this important worm called Nereis or clamworm or Neanthis. So before they take their boats for fishing, they make sure that the boat is not attached with this clamworm, because it has the capacity to make a bore hole in the boat by eating all the wood, because it has this chitinous plates, right? So moving on to the next very important characteristic features. These are bilaterally symmetrical animals. What do you mean by bilateral? Already in many of phylums you have come across. What is bilateral symmetry? You can cut the body of the animal into two equal halves in one plane or one direction. Hence the name bilaterally symmetrical animal. This is also a very important characteristic feature of the annelids, right? Next, they are triploblastic animals. What do you mean by triploblastic? The body wall is made up of three germinal layers: outer ectoderm, inner endoderm, and middle mesoderm. So the body wall is made up of three germinal layers, hence they are called as triploblastic animals. Why they are called as bilaterally symmetrical animals? Because the body can be cut into two equal halves in one plane or one direction. Then they are triploblastic animals. Why are they called as triploblastic animals? Because the body wall is made up of three germinal layers. What are the three germ layers? Outer ectoderm, inner endoderm, and middle mesoderm, right? And they are called as true coelomates. Eucoelomates, or they also be called as true coelomates. What do you mean by true coelomates? That is the body wall is lined by mesoderm. When what is coelom? Coelom is nothing but the space between the body wall and the alimentary canal. So when it is lined by mesoderm, it is called true coelom or eucoelomates. When it is not lined by mesoderm, then it is called pseudocoelomate, right? Like Aschelmin's means pseudocoelomates, right? So hope you remember. So these animals are eucoelomates. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic, eucoelomate animals. And what is the mode of, what are the organs of locomotion? As I said, earthworm, you don't find any locomotory organelles. The body is very soft and it is having dermomuscular skin. And that dermomuscular skin is highly flexible and it can just burrow in the soil. It is an animal which is adapted to burrowing mode of life. Leech has suckers as organs of locomotion as well as organs of attachment. Clamworm has parapodia, which is made up of chitinous plate as organs of locomotion. So locomotory structures, they are not sessile animals, they are free living animals. They have locomotory structures for locomotion. So locomotion takes place by longitudinal and circular muscles like in earthworm, and whereas in case of parapodia, that is Nereis, which is made up of what? Chitinous setae. So here chitinous setae are the organs of locomotion in case of Nereis. And by suckers, as I said, suckers serve two very important functions. One is to hold or to held to the host body, and also to suck the blood, and also as an organ of locomotion. As I said, it moves around through soma's salt, right? So it has suckers as organs of locomotion. And excretion is by nephridia. Excretion is by nephridia. Nephridia are the organs of excretion in case of Annelida, whereas in case of Platyhelminths you have come across flame cells are the organs of excretion. So these are all the very important characteristic features of phylum Annelida. So let me repeat once again. So as I said, the characters vary from a phylum to phyla. So you have to do the comparative study. You may ask a question to me, how do we remember all these points? So only, and I know definitely I understand your first PUC biology is too very vast and too many terms and terminologies to remember, but there is no other option. You have to study. Just because there are so many things to learn, can we avoid it? No, you cannot do it. So you have to learn the points. And as I said, learning the concepts is very, very important. Like if you plan to go for your competitive exams, then definitely the concepts are very, very important. And I keep telling that your first PUC biology is a basic, it is a basic foundation for the study of biology. So whatever knowledge you are going to gain in first PUC biology will stand forever, right? So make sure that the concepts are learnt properly. So very, very important. You cannot escape from any of the points. Each and every point is very, very important. And your syllabus and your examination is not semester wise, right? So the whole, it is an annual exam where at the end of the year, academic year, you are going to write, you have to read the whole textbook. So that is the reason why repeated reading, practice makes man perfect. So you keep on reading, then definitely you see why you will forget. So as you know, the more you read, the more you remember, right? So what are the very important points? They are bilaterally symmetrical animals, they are triploblastic animals, they are eucoelomates. What is the other name for eucoelomates? You can also call them as what? True coelomates. Then locomotion takes place by longitudinal or circular muscles, as in case of earthworm, or in case of Nereis it is through parapodia, or it is by means of suckers in case of leech. And what are the organs of excretion in these annelids? It is nothing but nephridia. Nephridia are the organs of excretion. Right, moving on to the next very important characteristic features. Hope you can see this animal. This is nothing but Aphrodite. Aphrodite which is otherwise called, common name is called sea mouse. Sea mouse. You can see how it looks. It looks like a small mouse. So hence the name sea mouse. Right, and you can see how beautiful it is, and it has a capacity to change its color from gold color to purple bluish color. You can see the color here. So from gold color it will change its body color to purplish bluish color. Right, now what are the other very important features? Digestive system is complete. Hope you remember we discussed about the organ system where we studied digestive system is of two types, complete and incomplete. What was the basis for differentiating the digestive system into complete and incomplete? Based on the presence or absence of openings. Suppose the digestive system consists of only one opening, it is called incomplete digestive system, and if the digestive system consists of two openings, that is the mouth and the anus, then it is called complete digestive system. Whereas in case of annelids, you come across the digestive system is complete. That means what? It is having a mouth and an anus. Mouth is meant for what? For feeding. And anus, all the excretory structure is thrown out of the body through anus. So digestive system in case of annelids is what? Complete. Very, very important thing. Right? Next, there you would have come across many of the phylums like platyhelminths and all, it is incomplete. Next, circulatory system. That is, circulatory system is closed type. Whereas in the other phyla you have come across open system. What is the difference between closed circulatory system and open circulatory system? Suppose if the supply of blood from the heart is supplied through blood vessels, it is called closed circulatory system. Closed circulatory system. That means the blood is pumped out from the heart. From the heart it is supplied through the blood vessels, namely the arteries and the veins and the minute blood vessels called capillaries. But in case of some animals, the circulatory system is of open type. What do you mean by open type? Absence of blood vessels. So how is then there the blood is pumped from the heart and the cells and tissues are directly bathed into it. So you call such a type of circulatory system as what? Open circulatory system. But what is the type of circulatory system you come across in annelids? It is closed circulatory system. As I said, they have organ system grade of body organization. So you can see a better body development when compared to the previous phylums. As I said, the animals have started evolving from a simplicity to complexity. Like you can see a better body organization. You remember I told you all, we call all these invertebrates as lower animals. Not just because they are lower in level, because they don't have that much of better body organization compared to higher animals. See, but you can see the evolvement, right? From phylum to phylum, you can see a lot of changes. So here you can come across organ system grade of body organization. Obviously, they have digestive system, complete digestive system, circulatory system is of closed type, and respiration is through skin or by gills. For example, like Nereis. Nereis is an aquatic animal. Earthworm is a terrestrial animal. So obviously, I think all of you know that earthworm respires through skin. Respiration through skin is called as what? Cutaneous respiration. Just like a frog, right? So the earthworm, the respiration is through skin. The exchange of gases takes place through the skin. Whereas in aquatic animals like Nereis, so it takes place through gills. So they have a respiratory system, like respiration is, though they're not highly evolved animals like the mammals or the birds or the reptiles, but still they have a better body organization. Next, nervous system consists of cerebral ganglia, where we call it as a brain there, and a pair of subpharyngeal ganglia. Arising from it is the double ventral nerve cord. So here you can see the double nerve cord like this. So you can see the nervous system consists of a pair of cerebral ganglia like this, and you can see the pharyngeal ganglia. This is called ganglia. What is ganglia? Mass of nerves is called as ganglia. From there you can see the nerves arising. So from this you can see, what do you get to know by this point, very important point, that they have started evolving with a better organ system. So right, so that is again a very important point to be written for as a very important characteristic feature of phylum Annelida. Then sexes are separate, very important. Sexes are separate. Some that is called dioecious. but in earthworm it is monoecious or united. So you come across both the type of animals where the sexes are separate, male is separate from the female, or in some organism the sexes are united. What do you mean by united? Bisexuality or hermaphroditism, hermaphrodites. In animals we use the word called hermaphrodites for bisexuality, but in plants we don't use this word called hermaphrodite. I hope you remember, right? Next, or bisexual. Then so this is also a very important characteristic feature. Next, development is direct or indirect. Very, very important. What do you mean by development? So if at all the animal includes a larval stage in the life history, it is called as indirect development. Suppose the animal does not have a larval stage. Hope you remember I gave an example of frog. Frog has a larval stage called tadpole. So you might have come across a word called metamorphosis, from an egg to larva, larva to adult. So in the life history of this animal, there is an involvement of a larval stage. So those animals which have a larval stage in the life history, it is called indirect development. But in this animal, both you can observe. Development is either direct or indirect. So all these are the very important characteristic features of this phylum Annelida. So let me brief up once again. So what is it? Digestive system is complete. Then circulatory system is of closed type. What do you mean by closed type? That is blood vessels are found. Then respiration is through skin or gills. Then nervous system consists of a pair of cerebral ganglia, which we use a word called brain, not like a highly specified brain like how the higher animals have, but they are paired cerebral ganglia, and a pair of subpharyngeal ganglia arising from it is the ventral nerve cord, two nerve cords. The sexes are separate, that is they are dioecious. In some animals sexes are separate, and in some animals the sexes are united, where we use the word called hermaphrodites or bisexual. And development is direct or indirect. It may include a larval stage or it may not include a larval stage. So what are the examples we are going to give for this phylum Annelida? So what are the examples? Very important example is what? Earthworm. What is the earthworm scientific name? It is called Peritema posthuma. Then leech is the common name, which is called Hirudinaria. I told you why it is called Hirudinaria, because it releases a chemical substance called hiruidine, which acts as an anticoagulant, right? Then that is other one called Aphrodite, that is sea mouse. So all these are some of the very important examples for phylum Annelida. Hope you have understood all the very important characteristic features of this phylum Annelida, what I have discussed in today's session. Hope you have come across the important features of this phylum Annelida. As I said, how the animals have started evolving from simplicity to complexity. Don't you find a better body organization compared to platyhelminths and aschelminths in Annelida? And also you have come across two very important examples, that is earthworm and leech. And as I said, earthworm is rightly called as what? Farmer's friend. Why? Because it helps the farmer in enriching the soil fertility. But how? It loosens the soil because it is a burrowing animal. So as it burrows, it is going to break the soil particles and loosen the soil for good aeration. And even and it is also feeding on the dead and decayed plants that is found in the soil. And also the worm cast, the excreta of earthworm, is a very good manure. Then you also studied about leech. As I said, leech is an ectoparasite which is usually found on the body of the outside the body of the host, like we have even the cattle leech. Commonly it is called as cattle leech. And as I said, this leech is sanguivorous animal, which is a blood sucking animal, and it has suckers as organs of attachment and also as an organ of locomotion. So I'll be back in the coming session with one more phyla, very interesting phyla, and the first largest phyla of the animal kingdom. Till then, goodbye and thank you.